Western governments have been accused of hypocrisy, with double standards laid bare in their reaction to Israel's war. It stands in stark contrast with Washington's approach to Russia and its war in Ukraine, and has diminished the credibility of what US administrations invoke time and again, the idea of an international rules-based order. Here's a look at some of that contrast.
So we have made clear that there have been atrocities committed by Russian forces. We support a range of international investigations into Russia's atrocities in Ukraine, including the one conducted by the ICC. The United States fundamentally rejects the announcement today from the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court that he is applying for arrest warrants for senior Israeli officials together with warrants for Hamas terrorists.
I believe most of us share many of the same goals. First and foremost, we want to see an immediate and sustained ceasefire.
Will those in favor of the draft resolution raise their hand? Abstention.
It's hard to look at what he's doing in Ukraine, what his forces are doing in Ukraine, and think that any ethical, moral individual could justify that. And being honest about the fact that there have been civilian casualties and that there likely will be more is being honest, because that's what war is. It's brutal, it's ugly, it's messy. I've said that before.
Yesterday, President Biden said that, in his opinion, war crimes have been committed in Ukraine. Personally, I agree. Intentionally targeting civilians is a war crime. After all the destruction of the past 3 weeks, I find it difficult to conclude that the Russians are doing otherwise.
The message that I bring to Israel is this: you may be strong enough on your own to defend yourself, but as long as America exists, you will never ever have to. We will always be there by your side.
Victor Gao is the Vice President of the Center for China and Globalization and a former Chinese Foreign Service officer. He's joining us live from Beijing. Thank you for your time, Mr. Gao. China has long accused the US of hypocrisy, of double standards. How does China see the US support for Israel's war, especially coming so soon, as we mentioned, after all the US condemnation of Russia and Ukraine?
First of all, without US support, I don't think Israel can continue to carry out all these atrocities against the Palestinians and now spilling over to bombing Lebanon and other parts of the Middle East. I think the United States government is fully intertwined with what the Israeli government is doing right now against the Palestinians. And I think this fully reveals that the United States is not a true friend of the Arab people, or of the Palestinian people, or of the Muslim people at large. And I do think the United States need to reflect upon its behavior and really achieve consistency in whatever rules that they are preaching to the rest of the world, because mankind really has eyesight and has brain, and they can see what they are doing and come to their own conclusion. It is time for the United States to really rise up to the occasion and stop the atrocities committed by Israel against the Palestinian people. The world is watching. Mankind is watching what the United States will do.
With no indication that the US is going to do that anytime soon, how do you see China's role? It has been vocal in its support for Palestine, for a ceasefire, for a two-state solution. But is China willing to use the considerable leverage that it has with Israel?
I think from the very beginning of this conflict, China has been on the right side of history. China has been calling on both Israel and the Palestinians to stop the hostilities and to achieve ceasefire through peace and diplomacy and negotiations, and achieve the goals of fully respecting the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people, achieving the two-state solution, restoring the border back to 1967, and using East Jerusalem as the capital city for the state of Palestine. I think all these are the noble goals, and mankind need to unite together to help the Palestinian to achieve this goal. China has also played a pivotal role in restoring the legitimate place of Palestine in the United Nations, and we will really want to do everything that is possible to make Palestine a full member of the United Nations. Going forward, there will be a lot of things to do. Right now, of utmost importance is to calm down all parties. We need to call on Israel to stop hostilities in their neighborhood, stop killing people, stop killing innocent people, stop killing women, stop killing pregnant women, stop killing babies, because mankind can no longer tolerate all such atrocities and these crimes against humanity. I think there will be reckoning sooner rather than later, and I hope the United States will not be judged to be completely on the side of Israel when it is committing such crimes against humanity.
And again, Mr. Gao, like you said, China has always voted on whether it's UN Security Council, UN General Assembly resolution calling for a ceasefire, calling for the protection of Palestinians in Gaza. But to my question about the leverage that China has with Israel, it is one of its largest trade partners. It has significant military cooperation. Again, is China willing to use any of the leverage it has to put bilateral pressure on Israel?
Absolutely. I think China has already done so. China has been urging the Israeli government through public channels as well as private channels. I've been talking to leading figures in Israel about what is the right thing and what is absolutely the wrong thing for them to do. Because in Israel, about 70% of the people are against the sitting Prime Minister Netanyahu. They believe he should be out of the office. He should no longer lead Israel in this dangerous position, and I think it takes all of us, including China, and China is such an important player. And I would say there is a litmus test right now. If you claim to be a friend of the Arab people or the Muslim people, and you do not support the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people, you are a false friend. You are not a real friend. China is a real friend of the Arab people, of the Palestinian people, and of the Muslim world at large. And I think everyone needs to use his or her own conscience to see who is the real friend of the Palestinian people and who is a false friend of the Palestinian people. Israel needs to stop all these atrocities against the legitimate rights and the lives of the Palestinian people and people of the Arab people in other countries in that neighborhood.
Victor Gao, thank you very much for your perspective. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.